Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Creator's Log. I'm Carlos, and today I want to talk to you guys about time management. I might sound a little tired, and that is because yesterday I hosted my first guest on my physical media show, The Physical Cut. And one thing that I learned is time management. And that is what I want to talk to you guys today. It's a random episode. It's not the episode I had planned. Yesterday, when I finished recording the episode, I went to Notion. I dragged the box of episode 2 to progress because it's still being edited and it hasn't been published yet. And that is because we scheduled a recording session for 12:30 p.m. and everyone was there on time. I was there maybe in 10 minutes late because I was preparing the audio, opening up Riverside, and getting the program ready because it does take a little bit of time for everything to load, and sent him the email, the link, so he can click on it, accept, and log in to Riverside. And you're wondering, what does that have to do with time management? Well, one advice that is said, when you have guests is, try to get to know each other a little bit. I already know this person from Instagram. I know him as a collector. I know a little bit of him as a person. So sitting down, getting to know each other a little bit better, more than just two people who know themselves on social media. We started talking, and we got into great arguments about the state of physical media. Our episode was about art, the cover art, and we had a great time talking about that before the show. When the show started, we had a great conversation, perhaps too great of a conversation. We went into depth in a lot of topics, up to the point that I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at my outline. And at one moment, I look at my outline and I'm like, wow, we're 26 minutes in, and I feel like we're about to finish this, outline. I don't know what else to talk about because we're covering all the points. And it's not like we were rushing through it. No, it's just, at the beginning, it was my first guest, so it was a little intimidating how to start questioning. And but then towards the end, I was able to take a peek at my outline without missing his part of the conversation, because at the beginning I did have to ask him to please repeat himself so I can make sure that I got everything he said. So he was very nice and easy to talk to, so that was great. But then we started talking more and expanding on things, and 36 minutes went by, and then an hour, and then an hour and a half. And I felt bad because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to keep him. And I'm like, but he did say that he had up to 5 p.m. and so do I. At 4:30, we finished our conversation. I told him to wait a few minutes to make sure that everything uploaded perfectly. And, then I told him I'll send him the information and make sure he likes it. Any other edits that he wants me to do, make sure he looks good in the interview, in the one-on-one conversation. And then we just parted ways. We're still keeping in touch on Instagram just in case I need anything else from him, but we talk almost every day. So it was great. Everything was great. However, I had 2 other episodes that were planned yesterday for this podcast. I have been telling you guys some of the problems that I had been having with some of the recording softwares. Like I said, I was going to be fully transparent with the whole process. And yesterday I had some issues, a lot of issues with the software that I use, which was Riverside. These these pauses, these words that sometimes don't get captured clearly, like I said before, they become a little wiggle line. If you delete that wiggle line, it may affect the flow of the sentence, of the conversation. And I had to transfer. I started editing on Riverside. I got tired of editing because it started sounding choppy. And then it started sounding like a bad signal. Like if you were, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good. That kind of, telephone static. And I was afraid because on my 2 hours and 36 minutes of conversation could not go down the drain. But when I listened to the exported file, it sounded good. But when I'm editing, it sounds crackling. After almost editing 30 minutes, I had to transfer the whole file to Adobe. But Adobe, even though I have a premium account, it doesn't let me edit more than 2 hours of content. So I had to upgrade to Descript. I transferred the file and everything that I had already edited on top, it was already edited, but some of the words that were hidden inside those little wiggle lines popped up. Now my conversation sounds way better in Descript. All the editing, it flows easier. However, I'm still only 30 minutes into the conversation of editing. But all that back and forth, transferring the file from here to there, it really took a lot of time. It was midnight. I was still trying to edit as much as I could because I wanted the episode to come out today. It's not a must, but I wanted it to come out today because I do have travel plans next week. So I have 2 big trips next week. And I want to make sure that that episode, which is now a pretty large episode, comes out so people can be, enjoy it, have enough time to enjoy it before the next one comes out, which is supposed to be a bi-weekly show. But because I didn't publish these shows when it was supposed to be scheduled, I'm trying, at least for the month of May, to upload an episode every week until June comes, and then I can just update to bi-weekly. Now, I'm also looking at a timer here because I am trying out the Rec app, which is an app for Spreaker. So this is where you record if you're publishing with Spreaker. A lot of people use Spreaker because it's a free platform, but this only gives you 15 minutes to upload. You can upload as many episodes as you want, but they can only be up to 15 minutes, and they do have a countdown. So right now I'm at 5 minutes. So I just wanted to try because next week I will be taking this with me on the trip and I want to see how it works. So in the next episode, I will tell you if it sounds good. So right now I'm also speaking on a total different mic. I am in the DJI 2. I will post the link at the bottom just so in case you guys are interested in it, you can go ahead, check it out. It's pretty small. It's the size of my thumb, probably smaller. And I'm just checking out the quality because it's supposed to be a good mic to film outside. So I'm just running it at home to see how it sounds. And then I'll try to transfer the audio file to Adobe and try to work my magic there. I'm trying to wrap this up because I don't want to get into the weeds too much of Riverside, taking my time. But one thing that I learned yesterday is even though we try to organize ourselves, even though we have plans of perhaps batch recording, if we have interviews, we always have to make sure we are ready for the unexpected. There might be interviews that the person that I have as a guest is, not too talkative, perhaps. And there might be times like yesterday that you find a person that you connect with and you're just talking and you can talk for 5 hours. And I was so scared looking at that clock. I'm like, how do I cut this conversation off? But at the same time, I didn't want it to end because I just wanted to keep talking and, for my listeners and, keep giving them what they want, which is physical media talk, real, raw physical media talk. And last night I couldn't sleep. I had a schedule at work at 7:30 in the morning. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was still thinking about the 2 episodes that I didn't do for this podcast. But then because of that, I started thinking about this episode that I wanted to do for this podcast because I did not do the last two, which was a lesson learned about time management. So we talked about procrastination, which is bad, but we have to make sure that once we do get to work, make sure we focus, make sure we at least set achievable goals, even though it's not, these podcast episodes are shorter, sure, but sometimes the time that one episode can take could affect the other episodes. And I don't want to say that podcast is more important than this one because the listeners that I have in this podcast, which I appreciate you guys, are not the same listeners that I have in the other podcast. And I think and I know that they both deserve the same equal level of respect. So I wanted to bring that up to you guys because today has been a day that I've been thinking about how to go about, scheduling and editing and batch recording and making sure that we also have reliable software that when we have to spend hours editing, the tools work in our favor and not just another hoop that we have to jump through. Now, Rec is giving me 1 more minute. So with this, I'm going to leave you guys. Until the next episode, this has been the Creator's Log.